And welcome to our wrap-up, except
we've decided to turn our wrap-up into a highly official, extremely serious athletic competition.
Very serious, very rigorous, absolutely not subjective at all.
Each book is competing in the Book Olympics, and we're judging them on technical execution, artistic impact, degree of difficulty, and replay value.
The person who didn't read the book will present the synopsis, and the person who did read the book is going to be the Olympic judge, handing out scores and explaining their decisions.
Some books stuck the landing.
Some books fell on the ice.
Let the espresso shots and epic plots, Book Olympics, begin!
May the odds be ever in your TBR's favor. Before we begin, we're going to explain the categories to you. We'll be judging each book on 4 criteria. Category 1 is technical execution. How well was this book written and constructed? So this will be judging based on prose, plot structure, pacing, consistency, those types of measures.
Our second scoring category is artistic impact. How much did this book make you feel something or think some way? We're talking emotional resonance, thematic depth, vibes, and lingering effect.
Our next category is the degree of difficulty, which is an important category in events like these. So how challenging was this book to read? It is important to note, however, that a high difficulty does not mean that it was a bad book.
So forget your triple Lutz.
So this is dense language, heavy themes, complex sentence structures, and then emotional difficulty.
And finally, the category is replay value. Would you reread it? Would you recommend it or seek out similar books? We're talking series interest and recommendation confidence.
Each of these categories will be scored from 1 to 10. The contenders will be ranked at the end and then awarded a gold, silver, bronze is the third one, right? Yeah. Gold, silver, and bronze medal. And then maybe we'll even have some wild cards.
First up, One Day, Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar El Akkad. In this event, we have a nonfiction competitor competing in the mental endurance category. A collection of essays examine modern politics, power, and moral responsibility in a world shaped by inequity and conflict. This book delivers sharp political critique and cultural analysis, asking readers to stay engaged, reflective, and uncomfortable at times. It's not about speed or flair, no, it's about sustained pressure, clarity of argument, and finishing the course with eyes wide open. Genevieve, how did your book score?
In technical execution, I gave this book a 7.0. Artistic impact, 6.5. Difficulty, I gave an 8.5.
Ooh.
And then replay value, I gave a 6.0.
Boy, the judges were tough on this book.
I feel like this is going to be a very controversial pick. This judge is kind of coming out of left field compared to the rest of the general populace, but this judge felt like this book had a very strong emotional impact. There were some very heavy themes in this book. However, this particular judge was looking for action items and what society can do, because this particular judge feels like her eyes have already been opened to a lot of this stuff, so she was struggling with the point.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay.
The next contender is Babel by R.F. Kuang, a personal favorite of this judge. Now entering the arena is a heavyweight competitor combining linguistic skill, historical scope, and thematic ambition. A young scholar enters a prestigious translation institute where language fuels empire, forcing him to choose between belonging and resistance. This book asks for both intellectual strength and emotional endurance, layering language, power, and colonial critique into a demanding but emotional performance performance. A long event with high difficulty and a very deliberate execution. All right, Diana, how did it score?
For technical execution, this received a 9.5 from this judge. For artistic impact, we're at a 9.0.
Ooh.
Difficulty was a solid 8. And replay value is an 8.5.
Interesting. Judges, would you like to explain more?
The storyline, I felt, was somewhat difficult to follow, and the book is very, very long. I would probably recommend it, but I don't know that I would reread it, although if it were the last book I had, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was a heavy subject matter. It still has me thinking every day. I bring it up and I think, oh, there's a perfect example of XYZ.
All right, thank you.
Our next event is The Butcher's Masquerade, another dungeon crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. Coming in hot is a high-energy competitor known for chaos, spectacle, and sheer endurance. Carl and his companions face increasingly brutal challenges as the dungeon's deadly game escalates towards higher stakes and larger consequences. This book throws strategy, action, and escalating stakes into the arena, demanding quick reflexes and emotional stamina from its audience. It's loud, it's relentless, and absolutely committed to the bit. A crowd-pleasing performance with no intention of slowing down. Genevieve, how did it score?
Well, Dungeon Crawler Carl, number 5. For technical execution, as always, received a 10.0. This series just gets better every time.
Amazing.
Artistic impact, I gave it an 8.5. There are people dying and it's real, so there is an emotional impact, but it's presented in a funny way. For difficulty, I gave it an 8.0, not for dense language. It is not difficult to read. However, there are some dense themes. Like I said, characters that you grow to love are being emotionally impacted by this. And then replay value, 9.5. I have recommended this to many people. Not a full 10 though, because there's some people that I wouldn't recommend this to because it's just kind of weird.
All right, our next round is indeed an event that I have competed in as well. Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton. In this round, we have a fast-moving sci-fi competitor built for concept-driven agility. A disposable employee on a dangerous off-world mission keeps being cloned after dying on the job until one version unexpectedly survives. This book combines cloning, survival, and ethical questions with sharp pacing and momentum, keeping things moving while still sticking the intellectual landing. It's a performance that balances speed with thought, never lingering too long in one place. Genevieve, tell me, how did it score?
For technical execution, I gave Mickey 7 a 9.0. I thought it was a very interesting plot. Nice little sci-fi world, good pacing, didn't really slow down. I stuck with it. Artistic impact, I gave it an 8.0. I do think about it. I think it's an interesting idea, an interesting use of cloning. For difficulty, I gave this a 7. This was not difficult to read. It was very understandable. The plot was interesting. I guess kind of had heavy themes with death and what does it mean to die and mean to be a person, which is why it's a little on the higher side for difficulty. Replay value, I went with the 7.5. It was a quick read. I don't know that I would read it again. And honestly, I feel like I could end there. I know there's a sequel, but I don't really feel like I need to read the sequel. Up next, we have an unusual event that we don't see very often. We have Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. It's a competitor bringing personality, timing, and comedic precision to the floor. A memoir tracing Tina Fey's journey from an awkward childhood to influential comedy career through sharp humor and personal anecdotes. This book relies on sharp humor, behind-the-scenes storytelling, and a strong delivery rather than technical complexity. A performance that wins points for charm, confidence, and knowing exactly how to work the audience. Diana, how did it score?
Well, Bossy Pants for technical execution, I gave it a solid 10. For artistic impact, I gave it a 10. For difficulty, only received a 5. And for replay value, I gave it a 9.5.
Could you please elaborate a little bit on the difficulty for me?
Alrighty, this was not difficult to read at all. It was quite fun. It was an easy read. It was the type of book you can put down in the middle. I, however, did not. Breezed right through it. My replay value, I put it at a 9.5 because, and Tina Fey notes herself in her book, it seems to be more of a story for women than men.
That's why I didn't get the full 10?
Yes,
okay.
she does thank the 5 men that bought the book in her book. But for technical execution, beautifully, she followed from birth to now. And for artistic impact, I was laughing out loud throughout this entire book.
Excellent, excellent. Good to hear.
We enter the arena this time with a new book, Sunward by William Alexander. Genevieve. This is a cozy science fiction competitor competing in the endurance and teamwork events. This book follows a planetary courier racing around the solar system training adolescent androids and slowly building a found family along the way. What begins as routine delivery work escalates into a high-stakes pursuit, blending warmth, humor, and caretaking with forward momentum. A performance that values connection as much as speed and proves that teamwork can carry you through even the longest course. Genevieve, how did this score?
For technical execution, I gave it a 9.0. This was an adorable little novella that had enough of a plot that kept me reading. Yes. We kept moving from planet to planet. For artistic impact, I gave this a 9.5. The little AI robots were adorable. For difficulty, I gave this an 8.5. The language itself wasn't difficult, but it did have some themes of what it means to be a family or to have a family and what it means to be human or a being.
Human-esque.
Yeah. And then for replay value, I gave it a 9.5. The only reason I didn't really give it a 10 was it ended in a nice round way, so I'm not quite sure how we would have a follow-up or a series, but I would recommend this to people looking for cozy sci-fi.
Well done. Okay, up next we have the book Last by Andrew Sean Greer. Now, we saw this qualifier a couple of weeks ago, so we've gotten a good look at this book already. This competitor is favoring elegance over power. A struggling novelist accepts a series of literary invitations around the world to avoid attending his ex-lover's wedding and is forced to confront his life along the way. This book moves through travel, identity, and quiet self-reflection with surprising agility, delivering emotional turns that sneak up on you rather than announce themselves. It's a performance that looks effortless on the surface, but reveals careful balance and control the longer you watch. How did we score?
First, I would like to apologize to the ears of all of the people watching this event. You may now turn up the volume on your computer again. For technical execution, I gave Les a 7.5. It was interesting. It had a plot, but I felt like it needed a little bit more for all the places he went. For artistic impact, I was expecting more from a coming-of-age novel, a 6.5 or a coming-to-terms-with-self novel. There wasn't a lot of emotional impact, which is what I would expect, unfortunately. For difficulty, I gave this a 5.0. Again, I would have expected more from this competitor in this area if we're talking about figuring out who you are as a person. And then replay value, unfortunately, this was a 4. It has a sequel, and I don't even know why, in all honesty. If you would like to know more thoughts on this, watch my previous video. In this round, we have a non-fiction strategist, Revenge of the Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, entering with theories, patterns, and big picture thinking. An exploration of how small changes in social forces can suddenly transform systems, trends, and collective behavior. This book builds its case through examples and analysis, aiming for insight rather than speed. A performance focused on mental agility and idea execution, asking the audience to track connections and consider long-term impact. Diana, how did they score?
Sadly, Genevieve, this competitor did not show up today. For difficulty, they only earned a 3.5. For replay value, 0.5.
Sounds like a big blunder.
Our technical execution was not as we expected at 4.5, and the artistic impact, a small 5.5.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear. Would you like to elaborate on any of these?
Replay value, it's because this is my fourth and last Malcolm Gladwell book. I know a lot of people like him. I normally like the ideas that he is trying to outline. I just don't like the way he outlines them.
All right.
Difficulty wasn't bad, wasn't consistent, meandered all over the place. The technical execution also did not seem to hold up.
So sorry to hear that.
Up next, we have The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. In this event, we have a dark, unsettling competitor pushing the limits of emotional and thematic endurance. This book blends history, horror, and moral weight, demanding focus and stamina from its audiences. A layered historical horror novel that examines violence, survival, and legacy through a chilling narrative rooted in America's colonial past. It's not here to entertain lightly, no siree. It's here to challenge, unsettle, and leave a lasting mark. A high-risk performance that prioritizes impact over comfort. How did it score?
For technical execution, we have a 9.0.
Fantastic.
This was such a unique plot. It's a horror story about a Native American who becomes a vampire during the 1800s.
Never saw that coming.
Exactly. And then for artistic impact, this got a 10
Perfect score.
Perfect score. I will not forget many parts of this book, particularly the ending, but not in a good way. Difficulty. This book was written by a member of the Blackfeet community and uses a lot of Native American language and terminology, which did have some dense prose, but this athlete was up for the challenge.
All right.
So it received a 10.0 in difficulty. However, unfortunately, the ending of this athletic event did not go the way it was intended. So the replay value for this particular judge is going to be a 7.0.
Still an impressive score overall.
Up next, we have The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. Closing out this event is a psychological thriller built for momentum. A woman takes a live-in housekeeping job for a wealthy family, only to discover that something is deeply wrong behind closed doors. This book leans into twists, tension, and pacing, keeping the pressure on and the turns coming fast. It's a sprint rather than a marathon, prioritizing shock value and forward motion with an eye firmly on entertainment. Diana, how did The Housemaid score?
For difficulty, a perfect 10.
Oh, surprise!
For replay value, a perfect 10.
Interesting.
For technical execution, a perfect 10. And for artistic impact, another perfect 10.
The crowd is going wild. I'm going to need you to elaborate on that perfect score, please.
I picked up this book and zipped through it so that I could go see the movie. The movie, unlike normal, actually impacted me in a positive way.
Oh.
Overall, it followed the book fairly well.
Okay.
It made me realize that it wasn't just one person in this book that was doing all the conniving.
Okay.
It was 3 people doing a lot of conniving.
Can I ask a clarifying question about the difficulty score? Because that was unexpected.
It was not a difficult read. It was a quick read, but the subject matter should come with some trigger warnings.
Okay, all right, got it.
Domestic violence. There's infidelity. There is misogynistic behaviors. There is all of that, but there is a delicious ending.
So check your trigger warnings before this book.
Okay, we return now with a classic, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Entering the arena today is a classic competitor with incredible longevity. This book brings sharp wit, social maneuvering, and emotional endurance rather than speed. Following Elizabeth Bennet as she navigates class, family pressure, and her complicated relationship with the reserved and wealthy Mr. Darcy. It is a performance built on timing, restraint, and very pointed side eyes as characters navigate class, reputation, and misunderstandings with precision footwork rather than brute force. A seasoned athlete who knows exactly where to strike and when to wait. The score.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, coming in for technical execution at an 8.0. This is a classic. We all know this story. There were no surprises. It follows life in the 1800s. Artistic impact, this judge is going to give it a 9.0. However, the lingering effects are that I continue to not enjoy reading about women's lives in the 1800s. Because they were not treated well. Difficulty, we have a 10.0. It's got language from the 1800s. They use a lot of words. However, you're in luck because you don't really need to pay attention to half of those words. You will still know what's going on. In terms of replay value, this judge is giving this a 7.0. I'll just watch the movie.
I do like the movie. Genevieve, will your grandmother be happy that you finally read a Jane Austen book?
I'm not sure because she keeps wanting us to read Persuasion, so I don't know if Persuasion is going to do better. However, I will be reading Jane Eyre. Pride and Prejudice almost convinced me to not read Jane Eyre. However, the internet informed me that if you didn't like Pride and Prejudice, you will actually like Jane Eyre because Charlotte Bronte did not like Jane Austen and thought that her works were frivolous.
Meow.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of athletic competition there. The results are in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see how things shook out.
For our bronze medalists,
In a shocking event, we actually have a tie, ladies and gentlemen, but we had to get down to some minutia. We had to watch some replays. Ultimately, our bronze medal winner is the Butcher's Masquerade Dungeon Crawler Carl number 5. Our second place winner is the little novella Sunward for silver. All right, and then finally,
our gold medalist is The Handmaid's Tale.
in a surprising event.
No, I just scored it so that I would definitely get the gold medal.
Did you feel like there were any MVPs in this competition?
Oh, most definitely, Genevieve. Our MVP is one that we both shared in, both talk about and think about still, and that is
Babel. And that wraps up our first ever Book Olympics.
We now have have medalists, honorable mentions, and at least one book that probably pulled a muscle.
Let us know in the comments, do you agree with our scores?
Or which gold medal book did you read this month?
And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give us a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.
And thanks for watching, and we'll see you at our next reading event. Until then, happy reading! So let the espresso shots and epic plots, books, Olympics begin.
That's a lot of plurals in there.
Let the epic plots and so let the epic shots. Damn it! All right. Ready?
Okay.
Ready?
I'm ready. Are we gonna hold these the whole time? I don't know that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're really
Don't
committed.
be ridiculous. Will we have an overall score then?
Yeah, we'll average all these together.
How are you going to do that?
Mathematically?
Afterwards, I
Oh,
mean,
yes.
or, well, for technical execution, I gave this a full 9.5.
What's a full 9 point?
Okay.
That's like a part of
Do you want me
0.5 is part of a number.
This book moves through travel, identity, and quiet self.
Quiet self-reflection that you're yelling at the camera. Transform systems, trends, and collective behavior. I forgot to mention the event.
Yeah, you didn't read
No,
the
I
book,
didn't.
did
That's,
you?
no, that's I just went right in.
So this guy probably won't be going to Munich. It's the only place I can remember where a summer
There's no
Winter
like
Olympics is.
Olympics part 2.
And I think I found a new
Voice that you like to do.
new voice that I like to do.
You did good.
Although I do not know why my finger is in my ear. Dun 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 dun.
Is that the music?
Dun. Yeah, when they're lining up to.
I think I went to the graduation march. My head had the graduation
Oh,
march.
well, how
no,
does that go?
I don't think it's the graduation march. It's different music.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, that's the
Here
wedding
Comes-
march. Okay.
That's it.
I don't know what else. Yeah.
You said there was a tie. Who's the other one?
No, I don't think they do
Oh.
ties in the Olympics. Do 2 people get on the podium? That'd be awkward.
Yeah, and they both get
They
one
both-
ribbon.
yeah, they just
they
share
gotta
it.
wear.
Okay.
All right.
Not everybody wins.